Clark vs. Reese, 2025 season opener altercation, May 17, 2025. A date everyone had circled. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, college basketball's biggest rivals, finally made their WNBA debuts. But nobody expected their long-running tension to boil over this fast. With just under 2 minutes left in a tight Fever vs. Sky opener, Reese bodied Clark hard on a drive. Clark responded with a stare down, and words were exchanged. What happened next pushed everything to the edge. Players started jawing, benches cleared, the referees rushed in. No punches were thrown, but the arena was electric, like something was about to break. The moment went instantly viral. Some fans loved it, calling it passion. Others called it poor sportsmanship, but no one ignored it. This wasn't just a foul, it was years of buildup from college to pro. Iowa versus LSU, media darling versus underdog. And now, all of it collided on opening night in front of millions. Afterward, both players downplayed the incident, but insiders said it rattled both locker rooms. It was a flashpoint, a defining moment, and a warning that this new era of WNBA stardom comes with heat and consequences. Sparks Shock Brawl, 2008, July 22, 2008. The Detroit Shock hosted the Los Angeles Sparks in what was supposed to be a gritty mid-season matchup. Instead, it turned into one of the ugliest brawls in league history. The tension started early, trash talk, elbows, and hard fouls. But with 4.2 seconds left, it exploded. Plannette Pearson knocked down Candace Parker with an aggressive box out. Parker jumped up, and chaos followed. Lisa Leslie and Deanna Nolan got involved. So did Shannon Bobbitt and Muriel Page. Even Shock assistant coach Rick Mahorn shoved Lisa Leslie to the ground while trying to break it up. The scene was surreal. Benches cleared. Fans screamed. It was everything the WNBA had tried to avoid since its founding, a public image crisis. In total, 10 players were suspended. Parker and Pearson received 4 games each. Mahorn was suspended too. The incident made national headlines and put pressure on the league to tighten its code of conduct. It was the WNBA's version of Malice at the Palace, and the league hasn't seen anything like it since. Sophie Cunningham affair allegations, 2025. In early June 2025, reports surfaced that Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham was involved in an inappropriate relationship with a married member of the coaching staff from Phoenix Mercury, her former team. While no explicit violations were confirmed, the optics alone sent the media into a frenzy. Though no league rules were officially broken, the situation underscored the delicate balance between personal life and professional boundaries, especially in a league fighting for credibility, growth, and respect. Kim Perot's tragic passing, 1999. Kim Perot wasn't just a point guard, she was the heartbeat of the Houston Comets dynasty. A fiery competitor and vocal leader, she helped guide Houston to back-to-back championships in 1997 and 1998. Her connection with Cynthia Cooper on the court was legendary. But just as the Comets were preparing for a potential three-peat, devastating news broke in early 1999. Perot had been diagnosed with lung cancer. What made the diagnosis even more shocking was that Kim didn't smoke. She was 32 years old, at the peak of her career, and her illness progressed rapidly. As the season unfolded, the Comets played with heavy hearts. Teammates wrote her name on their shoes and dedicated the season to her. Perot underwent treatment in Houston and then sought alternative therapies in Mexico, but the cancer had spread to her brain. On August 19, 1999, Kim Perot passed away, surrounded by loved ones and teammates. The league mourned. Her #10 jersey was retired, the first in WNBA history. Houston went on to win the championship that year, holding up her jersey during the celebration. Her death rocked the league. Kim was more than a player, she was a symbol of heart, grit, and leadership, and her passing remains one of the WNBA's most heartbreaking losses. Monique Curry's father's murder, 2006. In the middle of her WNBA rookie season with the Charlotte Sting, Monique Curry received unthinkable news. Her father, Leroy Curry, had been murdered in a carjacking gone wrong in Washington, D.C. Curry, just 23 years old at the time, had grown up incredibly close to her father. Leroy had coached her during her youth and was known for being a constant presence at her games. According to reports, he had stopped at a gas station when he was attacked, shot, and left to die. The league gave Curry time away, and teammates across the WNBA voiced support. But when she returned to the court weeks later, her pain was visible. Her performances were subdued, her focus shaken. The case sparked renewed debates about crime in D.C., and fans across the country rallied around Curry. She later became an advocate for community safety initiatives and youth mentorship, turning tragedy into purpose. The incident, while outside the league's control, cast a shadow over the 2006 season. It reminded everyone that even elite athletes are vulnerable to the same senseless violence that plagues everyday life. Monique went on to have a solid WNBA career, but that moment, losing her father during her rookie campaign, never left her or the fans who watched her persevere. Diana Taurasi's 2012 false positive drug suspension. In 2011, Diana Taurasi, then the face of the WNBA, was playing overseas in Turkey during the off-season. She was in peak form until news hit that December. Taurasi had tested positive for modafinil, a banned stimulant often used to treat sleep disorders like narcolepsy. The Turkish team immediately suspended her. The WNBA star, known for her competitive edge and legendary scoring, was stunned. She denied knowingly taking any banned substances, and her camp demanded a full review. The media swarmed. Was the league's most iconic scorer secretly using PEDs? Was her career in jeopardy? Weeks later, the truth came out. The lab that processed Taurasi's sample had made critical errors, and additional tests cleared her completely. The positive result had been a false flag, and the team issued a formal apology. But the damage had already been done. Headlines had run wild. Her reputation took a hit. Taurasi eventually returned to play for Phoenix and helped restore the Mercury to championship contention. But for a league still growing in visibility, having its star player falsely accused of doping nearly became a public relations disaster. The ordeal exposed how vulnerable WNBA players were when playing internationally, and how quickly public perception can shift, even when the story is wrong. The Tulsa Shock relocation, 2015. The Tulsa Shock entered the WNBA with high hopes after relocating from Detroit, where they had been one of the most dominant franchises in the league. But the transition to Tulsa was anything but smooth. The team struggled on the court, posting several losing seasons, and faced challenges drawing consistent crowds in a small market city with limited basketball infrastructure. By 2015, things were finally starting to turn around. With a talented roster including Skylar Diggins and rising stars like Racuna Williams and Odyssey Sims, the Shock were finally showing promise, even reaching a franchise-best 18-16 record. But just as momentum was building, the bombshell dropped. The team was moving again, this time to Dallas. Players and fans alike were blindsided. Skylar Diggins expressed public disappointment, noting how much the team had worked to build roots in Tulsa. Community support had grown, and fans felt abandoned. For players, it wasn't just a move, it was uprooting their lives and connections, often without input or warning. The relocation marked a low point in the WNBA's efforts to stabilize smaller market franchises. While the Dallas Wings would eventually establish themselves in Texas, the Tulsa era remains a painful reminder of how fragile team stability can be in women's sports, even during a breakthrough season. The Brittany Griner detention in Russia, 2022-2023. One of the darkest and most politically charged chapters in WNBA history unfolded in February 2022, when Phoenix Mercury star Brittany Griner was detained in Russia for allegedly carrying cannabis oil in her luggage. She had traveled there to play overseas during the WNBA offseason, a common practice due to pay disparities. What started as a minor customs offense quickly escalated. Griner was charged with drug smuggling and faced up to 10 years in prison. She was held in pretrial detention for months, with limited communication and growing concern from fans and U.S. officials. The league and her teammates launched a Hash-Free BG campaign, bringing unprecedented visibility to her case. The incident sparked a national conversation about athlete compensation, international safety, and the risks WNBA stars face when supplementing income abroad. After nearly 10 months in custody, Griner was released in December 2022 in a high-profile prisoner swap for Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout. The moment was bittersweet. Relief flooded in, but the cost was heavy. Griner had missed a full season, endured harsh conditions, and become a political pawn. Her detention shook the league and raised alarms that will likely shape WNBA policies and player decisions for years to come. It wasn't just a legal issue, it was a human rights and geopolitical crisis. The Chennedy Carter-Caitlin Clark incident, 2024. Midway through the second quarter, Indiana rookie sensation Caitlin Clark took a hard shoulder check from Chicago's Chennedy Carter after a whistle, sending Clark stumbling to the floor. The shove, unprovoked and away from the ball, was not just physical, but symbolic. On this night, the tension boiled over. Clark popped back up and had words for Carter. Teammates rushed in, fans erupted, and social media lit up with debates about physical play, jealousy, and how Clark's popularity had made her a target. The league reviewed the incident and reclassified it as a flagrant foul. Carter received no suspension but faced intense scrutiny from analysts, fans, and even former players. Clark, meanwhile, handled it with composure in post-game interviews. But the message was clear. She wasn't going to get special treatment in the pros. The moment sparked discussions about respect, race, rookie expectations, and how the league would manage rising rivalries. It turned what was supposed to be an exciting opener into one of the most polarizing flashpoints in recent memory, the folding of the Houston Comets, 2008. In 1997, the WNBA launched with 8 teams. None were more dominant or more iconic than the Houston Comets. With legends like Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson, and Cheryl Swoops, they won the first 4 championships in league history. Cooper's killer instinct, Swoops' all-around brilliance, and Thompson's relentless scoring made them the league's first dynasty. But just over a decade later, that dynasty came to a heartbreaking end. In December 2008, the WNBA announced that the Houston Comets would be folded. The league cited financial issues and a lack of new ownership after previous owner Hilton Koch failed to keep the franchise afloat. Players were devastated. Tina Thompson, the last remaining member of the original roster, was forced to enter a dispersal draft. Fans were shocked and heartbroken. Houston had built a passionate following. Many credit the Comets with proving that women's pro basketball could thrive in the U.S. The decision wasn't just about one team. It raised concerns about the league's overall stability. How could a 4-time champion with a rich history and cultural footprint vanish so suddenly? To this day, the folding of the Comets remains a blemish on the league's timeline. It wasn't just a loss for Houston, it was a loss for legacy. Monique Curry's torn ACL and the toll of overseas play, 2011. Monique Curry had become one of the WNBA's most consistent scorers by 2011. A vital part of the Washington Mystics, she was known for her aggressive drives, strong perimeter defense, and veteran leadership. But like many WNBA stars, Curry supplemented her income by playing overseas during the offseason. That's where disaster struck. While playing for Turkish club Mersin, Curry tore her ACL, a devastating injury that would keep her out of the entire WNBA season. For the Mystics, it was a massive blow. For Curry, it was a cruel twist of fate. She'd been in her prime, and now she faced a long and uncertain recovery. Her injury reignited debate about the league's salary structure. WNBA players, even stars like Curry, often made 2 to 3 times more overseas. The financial necessity of year-round play was putting their bodies and careers at risk. Curry eventually returned to the league and continued to contribute, but her injury became a cautionary tale. It exposed a systemic issue that persists even now, the dangerous balancing act of chasing paychecks abroad while risking health and longevity. For fans and players alike, Curry's story marked a somber reminder that the grind doesn't stop when the WNBA season ends, and that risk, not just reward, comes with it. The Los Angeles Sparks locker room fallout, 2020. By 2020, the Los Angeles Sparks looked stacked. With stars like Candace Parker, Chelsea Gray, and Nneka Ogwumike, they were a championship-caliber roster. But when their season ended in a disappointing second-round playoff exit, the real fireworks began, off the court. Behind the scenes, tension had been brewing. Head coach Derek Fisher, a former NBA player, reportedly clashed with several players over communication and leadership style. Rumors swirled about Parker and Fisher's deteriorating relationship, and questions were raised about internal power dynamics. After the season, it exploded. Candace Parker left the franchise, signing with the Chicago Sky. Chelsea Gray also departed. The exodus of star players, combined with cryptic social media posts and leaked reports, painted a picture of a fractured locker room that had imploded from within. The Sparks' once feared roster was dismantled almost overnight. For a league that thrives on team chemistry and strong personalities, the breakdown of one of its premier franchises was alarming. It wasn't about losing games, it was about losing trust, cohesion, and identity. The fallout forced the Sparks into a rebuilding phase and left fans wondering what really happened behind closed doors. It remains one of the WNBA's most dramatic and murky team collapses in recent memory. Maya Moore's career pause for criminal justice reform, 2019-2022. At the height of her powers, Maya Moore was nearly unstoppable. A four-time WNBA champion, former MVP, and Olympic gold medalist, she had established herself as one of the greatest to ever play. But in 2019, she walked away from basketball, not due to injury or decline, but to fight for justice. Moore stepped away from the game to focus on freeing Jonathan Irons, a Missouri man who had been wrongfully convicted of burglary and assault at the age of 16. She believed in his innocence and used her platform, time, and resources to pursue his release. In 2020, after years of advocacy and legal battles, Irons' conviction was overturned, and he was released after serving over 2 decades behind bars. Later that year, Moore revealed they had fallen in love and were married. It was one of the most emotional and inspiring stories in sports, but it also came with weight. Fans missed seeing Moore on the court. The WNBA lost one of its marquee stars in her prime, and though she never officially retired, her absence left a void in the league's competitive and marketing landscape. Maya Moore's decision highlighted the personal sacrifices athletes often make to create real-world change. It was a story of courage, but also of what the league lost during her absence. One of the WNBA's brightest lights dimmed, not from injury, but by choice, to illuminate justice. The Phoenix Mercury's 2023 meltdown and locker room chaos. The Phoenix Mercury had long been a powerhouse in the WNBA, with veterans like Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner leading the charge. But in 2023, the franchise unraveled before the public's eyes. It started with Griner's emotional return from wrongful detainment in Russia. While her comeback was celebrated, it came amid a fractured roster and growing dysfunction. Head coach Vanessa Nygaard was fired mid-season after a string of losses and reported communication breakdowns with players. Things didn't improve. Reports surfaced of clashes between stars, inconsistent effort in games, and even visible frustration on the sidelines. The Mercury ended the season with the worst record in the league, 9 wins and 31 losses. Taurasi, nearing the end of her storied career, struggled with injury and leadership fatigue. The chemistry that once fueled the Mercury was gone. Fans were left confused. How could a team with such talent collapse so dramatically? The 2023 season marked the lowest point in the Mercury's modern history. Once a model of excellence, the franchise became a case study in what happens when leadership, communication, and cohesion break down. For a league growing in exposure and attention, Phoenix's meltdown was a cautionary tale and a reminder that no amount of talent can fix a fractured foundation. Liz Cambage's sudden departure and controversies, 2022. Liz Cambage had long been one of the WNBA's most dominant and polarizing figures. Standing 6'8" inches with elite scoring ability, she was a force in the paint and a global star. But in 2022, her career took a dramatic turn, and the fallout was messy. After joining the Los Angeles Sparks in a high-profile move, Cambage's season spiraled quickly. Rumors of locker room discord surfaced early. Teammates reportedly felt she was disengaged. Then came a surprise mid-season announcement. Cambage had agreed to a contract divorce with the Sparks and walked away from the team entirely. The split wasn't just shocking, it was shrouded in tension. Players offered cryptic responses when asked about her departure. Cambage posted a vague Instagram story saying, "You all have no idea what goes on behind closed doors." Later reports linked her exit to a pattern of off-court issues and lingering controversy from a heated altercation during an Olympic scrimmage in 2021. She hasn't played in the WNBA since. Cambage's exit raised larger questions about mental health, accountability, and how franchises handle internal conflict. It also left fans wondering if one of the league's most talented stars would ever return, or if her WNBA legacy would forever remain complicated.